We will go ahead and get started, everybody. Wanted to welcome y'all to our Sip and Sip, Spurs Young Professional Sip. I'm hoping you guys all have your drinks. I know I do. I've got coffee because it's been one of those days, but I promise you by 5:30 or 6 o'clock, I will drink wine. If you know me, I love wine. Just to give you guys a quick overview, we are Spurs Give and Spurs Young Professionals Network. We're the official nonprofit for the San Antonio Spurs and SAFC. And as our Spurs Young Professionals Network is really new, our goal is to inspire the next generation of philanthropists for South and Central Texas. So we have been hosting these conversations now virtually, at least once a month, if not twice. So I wanted to give a special thanks to San Antonio, Austin, and the United States Hispanic Chamber for joining us today. A quick little side plug, if you all are not already registered to vote, I definitely recommend you do so. We have an awesome voting event happening at the AT&T Center today at 6 p.m. So you can drive through, super easy, super simple, and you'll get some fun Spurs swag along the way. So if you are not registered, please plan to join us there. As a few quick housekeeping items, we have Sita, our incredible coordinator here, who's going to be helping with all of the Q&A and letting people in and out as we go. Feel free to just use the raise your hand feature, type things into the chat, and we'll absolutely get to all those questions as they come. We'll have a Q&A session at the very end. Alrighty, I think that's all the housekeeping. So today I am honored to kick off Hispanic Heritage Month with 4 incredibly talented and inspiring leaders for our community. Growing up in San Antonio, the daughter of a Latin restaurant owner, Betos, I've always treasured the many local businesses and corporations that make up our tapestry. As a part of Spurs Give, I had the pleasure of managing the restaurant give back fund that we did recently through our Spurs Give Together fund. With this, we were able to provide over 500 meals a day from local minority-owned restaurants to families in need and first responders. The struggles we saw these restaurants and small businesses that they faced during COVID has been truly tragic. We are honored to be a small part of their recovery, but today I'm joined by 3 incredible representatives from our local chambers who are serving our businesses on the front line and ensuring they're able to continue to thrive. So with us today, we have Ramiro Cavazos, President and CEO of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Marina Gonzalez, President and CEO of San Antonio Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and Diana Maldonado from CEO of Greater Austin Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Thank you guys so much for being here. If y'all can wave your hands so that everybody knows who you are on these screens. We'll kick off the panel. Marina and Diana, if you don't mind sort of setting the stage for us, we want you to share a bit about how COVID-19 has disproportionately impacted our Hispanic-owned businesses in San Antonio and in Austin.
Absolutely. Would you like for me to go first?
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me today. It's such an honor to be here on behalf of the Hispanic Chamber here in San Antonio to represent our organization and share a little bit of insight on how we have been impacted and continue to feel the effects of COVID in our city. I do want to thank Eliana too. I'm a daughter of a restaurant owner, and I did not know that your dad owned Betos. I love that place here. So a little shout out to you and your family. Thank you for your delicious food. But back to the question at hand. So let's talk a little bit about how COVID has disproportionately impacted our Hispanic-owned businesses here in San Antonio. For those watching here who are in the city, of course, you know that we have over 60% of Hispanic population right here in our city and growing. And so just by population alone, we will automatically be disproportionately affected more so than other communities with a lower population of Hispanic community members. Hispanic entrepreneur rates and our Hispanic income growth and our Hispanic business growth rate has always been on a trajectory. So we are constantly or typically named one of the top 10 cities in the United States for Hispanic-owned startups and entrepreneurs. We're very proud of that. And part of that is because we've done a great job as a community in supporting each other and partly through our chamber efforts to make sure that our small businesses have access to capital and they have the resources that they need to contribute to a healthy economy. And as a small business economy, we know how important that is. But part of being able to be successful economically while you start and grow a business means that you have to have a healthy workforce. So what we're seeing in San Antonio is, as you've probably seen on the news, is that our Hispanics and our minorities are being disproportionately impacted without access to healthcare. This pandemic is, we're no exception to that, but we're definitely seeing that gap and people's ability to access healthcare and maintain a healthy lifestyle with the effects of COVID ongoing. So without your healthy working population, naturally that will affect our Hispanic-owned businesses. On our chamber side, I would say directly what we're seeing is, although so many of our members have renewed and we're maintaining those relationships and we're giving what we can to them to keep their businesses sustainable and growing during this time, we are unfortunately seeing some of those businesses having to close, and the majority of those being those smaller or family-owned businesses, directly due to COVID related, or because it's not due to the nature of the industry or the service they're providing, they aren't able to do so at full capacity or safely at this time. So that's a little bit about what's impacting our locally owned Hispanic businesses. And I would definitely say, also affecting that, a lot of our hotel industry and hospitality workforce is a lot of our Hispanic population here. And so we're absolutely seeing a huge hit to that, as San Antonio is a major city for tourism. And so we're still grappling with those effects.
Thank you for that. And Deanna, if you wanted to speak a little bit to the Austin area.
Yes, absolutely. And again, thank you to Ellie and the Spurs for hosting this wonderful forum. Again, it's partnerships with you that help us get the message across at the chambers, that we can get the message across to our communities and our people at large. With regards to Austin, obviously it's known as an entrepreneurial city and, really big on tech. But what drives all of those opportunities are Latinos and small business owners that are pretty much the footprint of what makes Austin buzz and hum along. And yes, they've been impacted disproportionately. In fact, we're working and being the eyes and ears as a chamber to facilitate and be a supporter of the health aspects when it comes to, what are the things that families and businesses and essential workers can do towards making sure that they're okay health-wise and that they are getting that information to their families and to their communities well. So that's why we worked with Tito's, where they pivoted and did a sanitizer opportunity that we partnered with them and other volunteers to help disseminate that information to the Latino populations and the ones that are more disproportionately impacted by it. We continue to disseminate and put information on our website and create forums and panels to highlight that, because if we don't have healthy families, healthy individuals to prosper, then we can't move forward with the business at hand. And one of the things that's really vital and essential for the chambers, and one of the decisions that the board and the chamber decided to do, is to stay connected to the activities to the extent that we can still continue to do deliverables and services to our membership and community at large. Because again, Latinos being more isolated because of COVID, we thought it was important for us to continue to have that connection point to reduce that isolation aspect to our small businesses and membership and other people that we work with. Now, granted, we have lost some members, but we're still staying in contact with them. We're also looking at the ways have some of our small business owners have pivoted, because to me, that's a wonderful story to tell about the innovation and how the drive of entrepreneurships and Latinos can play a role during a crisis. So those are great stories that we're learning from them as well, and that we want to highlight and champion them. And then those that are, keeping the doors open, but how we can continue for them to lean on us as a chamber, for them to navigate through COVID and hopefully get out successfully and provide those services for them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we've got some great chat comments coming in, welcoming you and sharing your excitement for partnering now that you're here in the Austin area. I wanted to mention, I totally agree. I think Tito's has done a great job. We had the opportunity to partner with them as well at the AT&T Center to do a drive and a giveaway for our local Eastside community. So I think they're doing a wonderful job. And to your point, last month we had a great conversation with Dr. Colleen Bridger. She's the San Antonio Assistant City Manager. And she shared a lot about these disproportionate impacts. So she also was really spoke highly of the chambers and all that you guys are doing to continue to keep our commerce alive and that part of our city vibrant. So thank you both. Mm-hmm. Ramiro, you have a little bit more of a global look at this impact. So how is our region different? How have you seen COVID-19 play out on sort of a national level for Hispanic-owned businesses?
Thank you, Eliana, and it's an honor to be here with the Spurs Young Professionals, and I love the concept of the sip and tip and getting people together. Young professionals represent the future of our nation, and as a community, I want to share that Latinos are a young population. Our average age is 18 to 20 years. We represent 61 million people living in America, 1 out of every 6 people living in this nation, the greatest economy in the world, and the nation that sets the tone for culture and for business and for best practices is the United States of America. And as Latinos, we were, here right after Native Americans in founding and cultivating and building America 500 years ago. In fact, we, as you all know, we're in Military City, USA. Latinos have been the only ethnic group that has fought in every major war since the American colonial period. So this is our country. And for me, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month is great, but I believe every day is a day for Hispanic heritage. And I love to tell people in the work that we do, and I want to congratulate Marina and Diana in their new positions representing the 7th largest city in America and the 11th largest city in America in San Antonio and Austin, is that the future is represented by each of you today. So I want to thank you and the Spurs for hosting us, Laura, Bobby, and the whole team. Thank you all for your giving and your passion for our community beyond professional sports. So to answer your question, I have seen tremendous resilience in the 4.7 million Hispanic-owned businesses. We have 260 Hispanic chambers around the country, from Honolulu to Rhode Island, from Seattle to Puerto Rico, from the Rio Grande Valley, where I'm from, all the way up to Wisconsin and Minnesota. And it's no secret why the state of Montana, bordering the Canadian border, is in Spanish the word mountain, montaña. And so we need to own our own power as a community. And although COVID has been a global pandemic and we've never seen anything like it, I have seen tremendous acts of humanity and kindness to one another. We are more interconnected as Anglos or Hispanics or people of color or Asians than we ever knew. So we are learning some difficult lessons right now, that change needs to happen in our country. It needs to happen and it needs to be permanent. And we've already lost, of those 4.7 million Hispanic-owned businesses, 27% of our businesses, members of the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber and the Greater Austin Hispanic Chamber, 27% have been closed permanently or are temporarily shut down. So 1 out of every 4 of our businesses have been affected because of this crisis. And we forced this economic recession upon ourselves through our own actions to prevent the transmission of this disease affecting our families. So I think, and I know that it's going to make us a more digital, more technology dependent society. We were headed in that direction. And who better than our young professionals who are digital natives? I love to learn from my two boys who are in 6th grade and 9th grade every day about how they see the world, and they're wired in such an easier, more efficient way than most of us. I said earlier, I'm the youngest baby boomer in America. I believe that the best teachers are lifelong learners, and so running the National Chamber from Washington, D.C., but in the last 7 months living in San Antonio, I have seen where our best days are ahead. And I believe through this crisis, there will be opportunity to reinvent ourselves and our businesses. And so I'm glad you're putting this forum together. Our biggest job the last 6 to 7 months has been to do three things: give our members, Hispanic members for all of our chambers, more contracts and business. That's really job one. Giving them access to opportunities for more capital and lending through the Paycheck Protection Program. And last but not least, it's to also understand that failure or stumbling is part of success. And we know how long it took for the Spurs to win their first championship. And now we have 5, and we'll have many more in the future. So my hat's off to people who accept acceptance of failure, but see it as a part of success. And I know that we'll never forget 2020, Ileana, but I can say this, that we're gonna learn some great lessons, and we're gonna realize how much we need each other, regardless of the color of our skin. So it's an honor to be here with you today, representing the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you so much, Ramiro. Those are really powerful words. We've got comments coming in. They all agree that every day is a day to celebrate Hispanic heritage. So thank you for providing that hope in a time that feels super hopeless, I think, to a lot of people. It's really exciting, all the work that you're doing, and I'm sure under your leadership we'll be going a long way to battle this. I wanted to kick it back to Marina. Dr. Erica Gonzalez is chairwoman of the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce, and unfortunately had a last minute conflict come up. But Marina, I still wanted to sort of celebrate all that she's done during this time. She's a doctor and a daughter who recently lost her mom to COVID-19, and I would imagine this has been extremely personal for her. She's taken these hardships and turned them into a motivation to really inspire communities of color to be more aware of public health implications, and has gone as far as starting her own nonprofit, Con Corazon. Though she isn't here with us today, Marina, if you could share a little bit with us about Dr. Garcia and her nonprofit and just how proud you guys are of all that she's doing.
Absolutely, and thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about our chairwoman. We call her Dr. Erica affectionately. She's an amazing leader and an amazing community member, amazing leader here in San Antonio, serving on multiple boards. But, you know, and in the midst of all this, and being a business owner herself, a practicing allergist and immunologist with multiple clinic sites and a research lab, she's been heading up our chamber this year. 2020 been a tough year, of course, for all of us. And in the midst of that, she did lose her mother to COVID just a month ago. But she had been working on this initiative to what I was speaking on earlier, is that healthy workforce, right? And bridging that gap of the health disparities to our Hispanic population. And that's something she's very passionate about here in our community. So the initiative of Con Corazon as a nonprofit originally had the idea of how do we bring that awareness, and what tangible effects can we do to make sure that we have the communication and the bridge in place. And really what we find is at Con Corazon, as she's told me many times, is that it's a matter of connecting the resources and communicating to our community, whether that's in Spanish or English or knocking on doors, or however we need to get the word out. But what she did with Con Corazon, which to me, I'm so proud of her and proud to lead as her CEO here in this new role, because what I saw was her resiliency, and she really took such a tragedy that her family is of course still dealing with, but she decided to turn that into an awareness message for our community and a call to action to step up and donate plasma and do what you can donate and give back to what you can, to how you can, if that is your time, talent, or treasure, to make sure that that other families don't have to go through what her family went through, and try to minimize the effects as much as we can. So at our Hispanic chamber here, we're so proud of her, and I know she couldn't be with us today, but you know, I know that I can speak on her behalf by saying that in the midst of something so sad, that perhaps we're able to do a little good out of it.
That's amazing. It literally gave me chills. So thank you so much for sharing that. And our thoughts and prayers will absolutely be with her family. Con Corazon is a great way to start this next question that I have for the panel. What is our action item for today? As young professionals and corporate citizens, what can we do to really activate and support minority-owned businesses locally? How do we make that a really intentional part of our lives? And Deanna, if you want to kick it off from Austin.
Sure. I think with regards to young professionals, I mean, this is such a wonderful space and time, even though we're in the midst of a crisis. There's the saying that there's always innovation in a crisis, and there's silver linings. And some of the conversations that we've been having, that Ramiro and Marina have articulated, is that there is strength and ways that that Latinos have had a legacy, because we've had so many struggles, you know, from day one with regards to land ownership, and how, you know, people got, you know, booted out of their, you know, rightful ownership. But, you know, in time and time again, it shows that the legacy shows that we're a thriving community, we're a resilient community, and no matter what, there will always be innovation and creativity and the ganas to move forward. And with the young professionals right now, it is a great opportunity in the sense that there's a host and a plethora of information, and to take advantage of all of these webinars and panels that are being held nationwide, because this is a unique opportunity to tap into the thought leadership of CEOs, of business leaders, of you know the influential makers, by plugging into panels such as this, but also take the time to dig deeper, to get above the noise of what's being said, because it is incumbent upon this younger generation that you are our leaders in the making for tomorrow, and that we will be leaning on you to really, you know, take the baton and create this change. And I say that because when I was in the legislature, I had all these young professionals that led my campaign and that ran my shop. I mean, I just leaned on them like there was no tomorrow. One of the attributes that I see in the intergenerational collaboration efforts is that there's resources that young professionals bring. There's an aptitude, a readiness, and it's so exciting to see that pivot and that spark in young professionals. And I think tapping in and connecting with influential leaders and CEOs will take them beyond, will catapult them basically into that next level.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Ramiro, your thoughts from a national perspective?
Well, I loved what Diana said earlier in our introductions, that we need to vote, and we need to realize that that's the difference maker, and people need to realize their vote does make a difference. And we are beset with apathy in this country for voting, for filling out the census. I know we love to highlight the percentage of Latinos that haven't filled it out, or the percentage of folks that have not voted, and you know, and so the census voting is true for all Americans, not just Latinos. It's Anglos, people of color, Asians. We should never take a back seat to these rights that our families have fought for in many battles to preserve the right to have. You know, this is a nation built by immigrants, and this nation has fought for the right to provide freedom for all of us. And blood has been shed for us to have these rights. And Diana said it well, and Marina knows this representing San Antonio, that we need to activate our communities, all of them, especially young people. The ability for us to own our future and to seize it is within our own grasp. A survey was taken about American Hispanics, and they found that 77% of Hispanics in America do not realize their own power. And that is very telling, that 3 out of 4 of us do not know that we have the same rights, if not more, than we believe we do. And so to me, that's very influential for where we want to go as a nation. And where we go as a community, as Latinos, is where this nation will go. 43% of Fortune 500 companies in America today were started by an immigrant or the son or the daughter of an immigrant. 1 out of every 10 jobs in America is a job created by an immigrant-owned business. Not all of them Latino businesses, but all of them immigrant-owned businesses. This is a nation of opportunity, and the diversity is our strength. And that's why we have the strongest economy in the world. And I can give you an example of the power of Latinos also is that we are, of course, in a country of 339 million people, we have 60 million Latinos here. I can tell you that the $2.3 trillion economic impact of our Latinos is larger than 1.3 billion people living in the nation of India alone. So these 61 million Latinos have a higher per capita income, have a higher educational attainment, and we need to use that momentum for the future and not compare ourselves to something we shouldn't. We need to realize that America is a nation that depends on us, not just for our workforce, not just for our vendors and small business owners. And really, my hat's off to you all at the Spurs. You all have set the tone for how to do procurement with small minority and women-owned businesses. And also, besides workforce and procurement, we're the consumers, the fastest growing consumer in the future. So Fortune 500 companies that don't have more Latinos and Latinas on their corporate boards or don't have a strategy like the Spurs have for embracing young people and people of diversity, including our LGBTQ community, are already late to the party. So this is an important time for us. We'll never forget this year, like I said earlier, but we need to make systemic, permanent changes for the positive. And sometimes the saying goes, storms come our way not to disrupt, but they come to clear the path forward. And boy, is our path very clear right now. And we need to be purists in embracing that path and going forward and taking everybody with us, especially our Latino community, and the destiny to be the quality of life that we deserve.
Those are some really powerful statistics. I'll be fully transparent with you in saying I'm calling our social team after this to make infographics out of all of those. That's incredibly impressive and makes me really proud to be a part of that. We have some questions coming in. If you guys don't mind, we'll go ahead and open up a few questions because it looks like those are coming from a lot of what our panelists are saying already. Stephanie has shared the census there. There's still time to respond, so absolutely, please plan on completing the census. And again, if you're not registered to vote, we are having our registration event today at the AT&T Center at 6 o'clock, so perfect timing right after this. One of the first questions we have, when we explore how to achieve pay and opportunity parity for Hispanic and Latinx employees in Texas and across the US, what factors and policies have you seen to be the most impactful in closing the pay and opportunity gap in business or government? And I'll open that up to everyone.
Well, I guess I can jump in and I'll ask Diana to join me because we had a call maybe 2 weeks ago now on our small minority women-owned businesses and the policies here, both in her city in Austin and our city here in San Antonio. And the reason that's so important is that one definitely is an access to equitable employment, but making sure that we have representation through the bidding process, particularly with the government agencies, that we have a seat at the table and that our employers are not being, and our members here at the chamber are not being overlooked. So as to the importance of that policy, it can't be overstated, and it starts from the top down, but it really goes into the nuts and bolts of what are those qualifications that are required that would either deem an agency qualified or not to apply for something. So Deanna, I don't know if that's what you were thinking too, but I thought it opportune time since we were just talking about this.
Right. Well, yes, and to echo earlier what Ramiro said, where the path has been cleared, and we have that ownership. Marina, Ramiro, and myself, and other chamber heads, at the helm to really craft a great strategic plan with the collaboration of corporations and our board members, to say, when we bring parity, is like, how do we design that to where when we're talking to the Teslas or, the Toyotas and all of these, big corporations, that they are including the chambers in the conversations, and that we're representing the needs of our business members so they can craft a policy to reflect that there is that connection to contracts. I mean, it's about referrals, leads, and contracts. That's what drives business. And if we're not the voice and the champion in those avenues, then we do a disservice, or the gap continues to grow further apart. I mean, I know when I worked at a large investment firm, we were always looking at the disparities when it came to the pay for women, and obviously Latinas are paid the least amount to our male counterparts, and so it's 56 cents to our white male counterpart of $1. And so it's not saying the doom and gloom, but let's change that narrative to say, how do we close that gap? And it's leaning into your voice and leaning into the leadership of making sure that we have a place in forming that policy and legislation to bring the parity to, because Latinos in of ourselves, we contribute immensely, and it's matching the work and the contributions to the wealth. And that will be such a big game changer, not only for our communities, but for our state and our nation.
Thank you so much, ladies. That's a wonderful answer. Ramiro, we have a question, it looks like addressed towards you. What's the best way to activate communities of color? And are there national best practices that we should look to duplicate here in San Antonio and Austin?
Well, it's a great question. And I believe that when you think of communities of color, Latinos are a community of color, as we all know. We are also Afro-Latinos. We're Hispanics are white, if in Caucasian, if you have Spanish or European blood, or even if you came from South America and you settled during World War I or World War II, or during the difficulties of the persecution on our Jewish community. Latinos are Jewish, Protestant, Catholic, and we're also Asian. If you're Filipino, the Philippines were named after King Felipe because the Spanish obviously explored the world extensively. And so we are an ethnic group. We are not a race. And we also represent a community that it loves everyone. We marry everyone else compared to other, communities. And so what I'm trying to say here is that we're a state of mind. We are Latino if we self-identify on our census, and if we just have that affinity. And that's the beauty of our culture, is it is something that we need to embrace. And that's one thing we've learned about the path forward, is that when we are saying Black Lives Matter, it also means Latinos, and anything that is affecting Black lives, we all know Latinos will be next if there is discrimination or racism or persecution. And the other thing about the stability in society is that it's not solved ever. Every day we wake up and we need to embrace how we treat one another and accept one another and provide equity to one another. Laws will not change permanent human behavior. And that's the lesson learned in this year through the protests that we've seen with the murder of George Floyd and many other people. You may not hear about the Latinos being killed, but or the Asians, but those stories you all have seen are happening. Why that's the case, I have no idea. I mean, the first week I went to Washington to work, and it's a story that I have not shared with many people, but I was being introduced to folks at a gathering in Washington, and somebody was introducing me, and it was obviously a bunch of Anglo men, and somebody said, "This is the new guy from the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce." And I said, "Hi, I'm Ramiro Cavazos." And the person just looked at me, shook my hand and said, "Do you have an English name?" And I said, "Yes, it's Ramiro Cavazos." And so I share that story to explain to you that we need to accept people for who they are and how they are and embrace them and not try to change each other. And I think that acceptance will make 2020 a year that hopefully we'll remember, that will have permanent change. What do we need? We need more Latinos and Latinas and people of color and women on Fortune 1000 corporate boards. Less than 3% making decisions for us about purchasing, contracting, hiring. Less than 20 Fortune 500 CEOs are Hispanic, and a fewer percentage are women. It's unacceptable. It is completely unacceptable. Wages, the wage gap between men and women, the gender inequality, we should not settle for less. If you are not getting paid equal to a male in that organization and you have more experience or the same experience, or you have a degree and they don't have a degree, and yet you're getting compensated less, which happens every day, don't take that job. Go to someplace else where you will be respected and appreciated. And we need to change that pattern. My father had a saying that in Spanish, no te dejes, don't let people run over you, because if they do, it's because you let them. And so one of the things that I've learned is that we need to control our own actions and our own voice, and not, sit on our hands and complain about our lot in life. We need to change it. And you all, as young people and as Latinos and Latinas, people of color, know that this is our time to correct those changes, but they'll only be changed permanently if we don't settle for second or for less. And a big part of the disparity between Latinas and males is that, guess what? Somebody will take that job and do that work and outwork a male, and yet get paid less and go home and come back the next day. We need to change that. And Latinos, males, and people who run and own those companies need to also correct those policies. So it's a two-way street. I agree with everyone that it's a two-way street to change those policies. So I'm sorry I'm going a little long, but I just feel very passionate about this issue. And it's one that can only be corrected by ourselves taking our own actions into our own hands and demanding that change happen. That change will come too slow.
And no need to apologize. I think everyone's feeling your passion, and we're hearing that passion back on the chat blog. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I wanted to add to your comment, there's a local nonprofit called the Boardroom Project that focuses specifically on getting people of color on not only nonprofit boards, but as you mentioned, these corporate boards as well. So if you guys are interested, anyone on the call, I'm happy to provide those resources afterwards, but they've been a phenomenal partner, and we're one of our vendors at our recent Black History Month panel. Wonderful, wonderful comments, everyone. We could not, I was gonna save this 15 minutes or so that we have to celebrate one of our local restaurants, local bakeries, I should say. So we couldn't talk about all these wonderful restaurants and the amazing tapestry that makes up our two cities without actually hosting one. So I wanted to introduce Miss Nelly Garcia. She's owner of Rochelle, and she has some really cute cookies. I don't know if everybody saw my little graph that we had on our newsletter, but that was just a small taste of them. I got with my daughter this morning and we got some store-bought cookies because I cannot bake, and they turned out like blobs, but we're super excited to have this decorating class by Nelly herself. So Nelly, I will now kick it on over to you. I think you might be on mute.
There we go. Sorry, I was muted unintentionally. Hi, hello everyone. I'm so here. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Okay, so actually I'm going to switch cameras. I just want you all to see me here, and then I'll switch over so you can see what I'm doing. But just a little bit of background about who we are and what we do. I own a bakery with my mom and my sister called Rochelle. You can have a look right here. Rochelle. And we actually, as many Latin American families, we just baked at home and we loved it. And we would make pan dulce and cookies and cakes and flans and everything. And so that's always been a tradition of something to do with my mom and my sister. And then we started taking classes, both in Austin and San Antonio, actually. And we traveled to different places to learn more. And next thing you know, once we started posting, people started asking us to make these things for them. And it became a business. So we've been in business for, I think, 8 years now. And we are about to open our first brick and mortar store in East Austin, which should be open by November of this year, hopefully. And we'll have a lot of cute stuff and things, kind of a mix. Not, and that's another thing, not because we're only Mexican, that means that all we can do is Mexican. In fact, most of what we do is French, but we do incorporate a bit of a Mexican twist every now and then. Like we have pan de muerto cupcakes or concha cupcakes or things that kind of mix both. And we also have American items as well. So we can incorporate all of these things and have fun while doing it. That's what we do. And so today I wanted to show you cookies, because that's the simplest thing to do. And don't worry, you're not going to need a lot of product. So actually I'm going to switch cameras, so give me about 30 minutes. I'm sorry, 30 seconds. And then you get to see what I'm doing right here. Give me 1 second. And if you don't mind unmuting the other microphone.
I will just add that I know this wait is going to be so worth it if you guys haven't already seen her cookies. They're super cute.
Okay. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. And you can see everything is showing my other screen. Okay, so this is kind of what we do. And offended is as basic as possible. And these are kind of the things that people love about us. It's just like we have a different, for example, we have the August boots, sweater legs, pumpkins. Yes, today I'm going to actually this one because it requires less, something easier to do. So let's get started. The first thing you need is your favorite sugar cookie. Email it and we'll send you our recipe for this. And you roll this with cheese paper. For the lead, we found this cookie. You can find some, but actually he also sells them or any grocery store. Butters. And your cookies, your method, you have this. Do soon, whatever you like to do. Then my recipe. They are. So I'm going to show you all the recipes you will need. So this is about 1.5 cups of powdered sugar, and I have marine powder. Is the one find any store, you know, like a Bose or what is is really expensive. This ring, what else is this the one that need a
Nelly, I'm gonna stop you for just a second because it looks like we have a little bit of a slow feed. Are you able to try and turn off your computer and turn your phone back on? I'm hoping it's not just my end, but I think I'm getting a couple of texts that we're not able to see your video.
Okay. The phone. Can you all see it or no? Going in.
Let's see. We may just be having some technical issues because, oh, there it is, right there.
Yeah, okay, now. Yeah.
Perfect.
I apologize.
No problem.
So this was about a cup and a half of water, marine powder, and water. All going to need. A little bit more. I plan to show you one of those cooking shows they already and ready to go. More water or more sugar depending on the consistency that you want. If you want a glaze that you put on the bottom, consistency is the one you want.
Hey, Linda, it looks like you're frozen again. I'm so sorry. This is the worst timing for technology.
Go back to the
Sure, if you want to try your computer, and then I also just wanted to direct everybody, Laura Dixon went ahead and put your website in the chat bar. So if anyone's interested in ordering or learning more about Rochelle, her website is in our chat bar. I know she's also on both Facebook and Instagram for ordering.
Let's hope that this will be better.
There you go, much better.
Oh, there we go. Can you all see me okay? Can you hear me?
I think we're all good now.
Okay, is this better? Oh, I cannot hear you.
Yes, we can hear you, Nelly. Yeah.
Perfect. Mess over there. Let's color it. Just pink. There we go.
And Nelly, is this a family recipe for you or something that your mom and you just kind of came up with? Is there kind of a history behind why cookies and why such amazing custom designs?
Well, we just want to do something fun, actually something different. And the reason behind this specifically is just because you can customize them. You know, you don't want to go to a store and find something that is made for everybody. You kind of want something special for anyone. In this case, for example, it's for someone that loves fall and loves pumpkins. But that's my sister, but it's not my mom. So for my mom, I would get something completely different. So I think that cookies like these are a lot of fun to just play with and customize.
Good to know that you guys think this is fun because this is extremely hard work for me, especially with a 2-year-old.
Oh no, trust me, this is the easy part. To make the other ones, you do have to get different tips and different consistencies of frostings, and so it's a lot of work. But this one, as you can see, is ready. It's kind of like a glaze.
Wonderful.
They're ready to go. And here comes the easy part. You just grab your cookie and just dip it. And that's it.
it turns out perfect.
I mean, it's just so easy. You don't have to do the flooding or the filling first or anything like that. And you got it.
And what is the flavor on that one?
So this one doesn't have any flavor because it's just three ingredients. We just use the powdered sugar, the meringue, and the water. But if you like to add some flavor, you can add a couple drops of anything you like: vanilla, almond, strawberry, anything that you like.
Wonderful. And we've got a couple questions coming in for you.
Sure.
Do you ship cookies? Like, do you do them for events or parties or birthdays? Could we do a surprise shipment of some of your cookies?
Yes, so we do all of the above. We do, if you want to have your own party and just order, like, let's say 30, 50 cookies for your party, we do that. But we also do, let's say, one of these boxes that you want to send to your friend here in Austin, then you can just buy these and have it shipped directly to him or her. And you can customize the message to whatever you want it to be. You can be like, go Spurs, and then just have, basketball or anything you want.
Perfect.
Any message. We just didn't want to forget well soon. All that stuff. So we're going to do a different one.
A great friend in mind for that same message. We're getting some more. We've got somebody just congratulating you, reminding them of a cooking show where you get to go through a ton of different obstacles with all of these challenges that you're facing technically. So your cookies look delicious.
Oh, I'm glad. Well, it's another thing that you can do. So once they're still wet, because it takes about 6 hours for them to dry, you can use any sprinkles you have and sprinkle them on top. And you have like a happy birthday. Let me show you. Just with sprinkles.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, I feel like I might actually be able to handle this with a 2-year-old. That's a big
it's super easy. Or you can put Oreos and then put some crushed Oreos on top. Or what else do I have here? I have glitter, edible glitter. And this one actually comes inside of these boxes, subscription boxes with baking supplies. That's a business that my sister is doing. And this one has edible glitter.
Wow.
And you can add that. Let's say I did this to my A over here. And now you have a very shiny A.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all these tips and tricks. We're so excited to have hosted you. Like I did say, Rochelle's link is in the chat, and you can also check her out on social media. She'll be making all these adorable cookies. And if you have some upcoming events or holidays or birthdays that you would want to order these for, please do utilize her. I just want to thank all of our speakers again. Y'all are such incredible leaders in the community. I just want to pull all the quotes that I got out of today. It was just literal food for us, just amazing, amazing, amazing content. So thank you all so much for your time, your energy, and for all you're doing for Latinas all over the world. So thank you so much. Last reminder, if you haven't already, please plan to join our registration event that we have today at the AT&T Center. In this conversation, we're going to compact and make it some great clips. So please plan on sharing that on your social media and share this with your friends so that they can also join SIP. Everyone, thank you so much for your time and have a great rest of the day. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.